Hello everyone, welcome to another lovely episode with JFX. Welcome to Elliott Wave mentorship class. Okay, so this is not the everyday analysis, class I normally post recently on Elliott Wave. I'm taking us back to earlier this year when we had the mentorship program on Elliott Wave. And on today's topic, mainly we're talking about how I like to call them the alternating count. It's basically that's how everybody calls them too, but I like to give them that precise understanding so I can also, personally identify them for myself. And this is something I wanted to share with the public, along my journey within last year. But I noticed that I haven't really taught you guys about a lot wave, and coming up with something like this, something like an alternating version of the regular traditional lot wave count based on my own experience with using it as a confluence with smart money concepts, that would have been really, really confusing, So I decided to take on the program of having the mentorship first, giving you guys insights on the basic level of, how to apply a lot wave method, which was done earlier this year before we started the harmonic series we're on right now. So if you're new to the channel, you can go check them out. The recordings are available. It's all arranged in a playlist for you to have insights on how to use the method. And for the past 2 months, I've been making analysis on Elliott Wave. I've been using Elliott Wave method, giving you guys live market predictions using this particular method on the higher time frame, like I do, so you guys can see and have a basic understanding of how Elliott Wave works. So those videos recording are all available on YouTube. You can go check them out on our channel. And while you're on that, today's video is talking about the alternate counts version. Let's say just like how we had on smart money concepts, the perspectives of using the smart money concepts on market structure. I made that recently too. It's all available on the channel. There's also an alternating version of Elliott Wave outside the traditional rules and regulations that we have to follow using Fibonacci. So on today's video, I'm going to give you guys an understanding of how they work, why they work, and basically how they give the foundational levels of confluence trading on Elliott Wave. Like I've told you guys on multiple series, Elliott Wave are kind of like the only technical strategies followed by the sister, which I call personally I call it the sister, which is harmonic pattern, because they both use Fibonacci ratios, and that's basically the core logical concept of what makes those pattern, logical to use. So Elliott Wave is kind of like a strict method because it has certain rules you have to look out for, and also you have to follow the key Fibonacci levels displayed on the rules. So it's kind of like limited to how you see smart money concepts, where you just apply the concept once you see it on chart. So basically, what I just gave you guys is an understanding of what we've been doing with Elliott Wave method. I just gave you guys a brief review of, let's say, what to do if you're just coming into the channel for the first time. And this class might look a little bit advanced to you. Okay, so you can go watch the previous episode. About 9 of them were made mainly to give you a brief understanding of Elliott Wave. They are basically arranged in a playlist, so you can go get that. And other than that, the channel is made to give you a lot of insight into different methods. So if you're here mainly to learn Elliott Wave, stick to the colors and the directions, so you can follow up with Elliott Wave. If you're here to learn harmonic patterns, you stick to the mentorship program till we get to when we start using them for analysis. If you're here for smart money concept and you're looking to confluence switch with other method, stick around, so you might learn a thing or two, because these are all concepts. Okay, these are all concepts. Elliott Wave is a concept, harmonic pattern is a concept, Wyckoff is a concept, and they are all smart. They are logical and they are smart. So as a smart money trader, you can confluence them together and create something for yourself. Basically, what I am doing. So if you're asked, or if I'm asked what strategy I'm using or what method I use to predict the market, I just say that I confluence concepts. I basically confluence it with other concepts as well. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm going to give you guys insights to the alternate count of Elliott Wave. Okay, so let's start with the concept of this. What is this all about? What is the idea of an alternating count to the traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the ABC? So when we say the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everybody knows that's the impulsive aspect of the trend, right? So it's supposed to be the trend. The ABC is the retracement. That is like let's say the retracement normally in market structure, higher high, lower high, right? All right. Now, an alternating count is basically telling you that there's a possibility that according to Elliott wave rules, we have rules like if you're looking for an Elliott wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern, you understand that wave 3 has to be the longest, right? Wave 4 cannot, enter the territory of wave 1. Those are rules that make the counts logical based on Fibonacci ratios. Okay, so that's like the rules of an impulsive count. I've given this breakdown already. That's why I gave you guys the introduction in the beginning, so you can go watch them and understand more about that. Now, understanding this, we now look at different models within Elliott wave. When you look at the correction aspect, I just gave you guys insight to the impulsive aspect, which is the rules of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 3 has to be long. Wave 4 does not retrace into the territory of wave 1, and wave 1, 2, wave 1, 3, and 5 are impulsive. Wave 2 and wave 4 are retracements. Wave 4 can be a diagonal, a triangle, and other things. There are multiple models of corrections. Those are the models of correction. We have the flat, the zigzag. All those ones are models of correctional patterns that can be either in wave 2 or wave 4. Those are the rules of Elliott wave in a simplified term. That's the rules of what makes Elliott wave work. Okay. Now, an alternating idea is like saying a different perspective of what if. Let's add that. What if these rules are not met? So, for something to be reasonable, it has to be, it has to have room for doubt, right? That's when you say, okay, what if heaven and hell is not real? Something like that. Then what with your life? What have you done? Have you enjoyed it? Have you lived it? All those kind of stuff. Those are rooms for what if, because, what if the rules doesn't stick? We know that these rules were based on Fibonacci, okay? Fibonacci tools are very, very significant tools in nature, okay? But what if, in the process of identifying a count, you find a perfectly impulsive move, but wave 3 is not the longest? Okay, so it's an alternating perspective to the rules of Elliott wave. So the whole idea of an alternating pattern or an alternating count is that Elliott wave can actually sometimes invalidate these rules to make sense. That is, but it's logical. Do you understand? There's an explanation to why they can look like that. As we all know, what differentiates a flat from a zigzag? That is the model of corrections. And please, while you listen, definitely you're already used to. Those of you who are already subscribers, you're getting a lot of understanding from the breakdown, from the videos. Those of you who are new, these videos are crafted to give you diagrams, to what I'm trying to explain. On the next video, I think there'll be a part 2 of this particular series, so I can give you guys practical application of this on the chart. This is just mainly to give you guys a breakdown, an insight to what makes this logical and why it works. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you guys a breakdown on this episode, and on the next episode we'll go to the chart to look further to how we can identify this. Also, basically, it was through this process, understanding of the alternating count and the possibilities of the rules getting broken, was how I was able to basically use Elliott wave and SMC together. Okay, because yes, SMC does not really follow rules. SMC is like the rebel strategy. Everybody knows another block is going to hold or not. There's no certainty to it, or there's no rules to looking for another block. There are certain concepts like is already validated or invalidated. That is maybe a mitigation or not yet. Some is mitigated the opening, so it does not hold. Some say it's the 50%. All these are models. These are just perspectives to how another block can work. But another block is another block. Is either going to hold or not. Okay, so a fair value gap is the same thing. Is all breaker blocks. They're either going to hold or not. That's the rebel strategy. That is SMC for you. It's always two-sided. And I think I've given a lot of insights to that already. So if you want to know more about SMC and how it works on that way, you can go watch the previous episodes. They are all on red background. I made them based on red because it's a rebel strategy. It's fun to use. They work because of market structure. You understand? And at the same time, it gives you a site of confluence. SMC gives room to confluence it with anything. It's like the chaos strategy of trading. It's just everybody's perspective is different, because they are all different concepts. Do you understand? But everybody's perspective on Elliott wave can only be two-sided. On Elliott wave, they can only be following the rules or they are alternating. And that's the fun part of it. Because the alternating is that somebody posts an Elliott wave analysis, and you can clearly see wave 4 entering the territory of wave 1. All right, you can say that person is not identifying this correctly, right? Or you can say maybe the person is having an alternating count and is maybe looking at a WXY pattern when you're looking at an ABC pattern. Because these are the concepts, these are the parts of this strategy that makes it make sense. Why are they alternating pattern? So I'm going to give you guys some primary examples to why they are alternating counts, and also the traditional count, which everybody knows that follows the rules. Okay, so basically it's to give room for evolution, because we know that the market is always changing, right? The market is always changing. We're always having new price actions and new fundamentals, so we're going to be getting new insights, and everything is going to be happening, you know, as time comes. So it's repeating, but it's not repeating the same patterns. They are evolving. So a certain count can happen based on, you know, whatever market fundamentals is going on, and then the news might affect the count. But at the same time, that doesn't mean it's invalidated based on the trend. So the trend could still be bullish, but there's a manipulation, and then there's a move that, you know, maybe takes a week into wave 1. So that's an alternating count. Some people might count the week, some people count the body. But let's say you're not insightful on SMC. Let's say you don't have insights to stop hunt, because I've already given those models too. So I believe some of you already have those insights of stop hunts. But let's say you don't have those insights. So what would you now think when you now see a week entering into the territory of wave 1, and that's supposed to be wave 4? That's wave 4 correction. Then you start thinking maybe this is invalidated or this is not valid. But when you have the concept of the alternating count in you now, you're like, okay, based on SMC, this is actually a stop hunt, not an invalidation. So adding that confluence to, let's say, maybe this is an alternating count and I might still be correct, and then you end up getting a trade that maybe you make money out of it. The whole idea is that it's possible. You understand? It's possible. So that's one of the primary reasons why we have an alternating view of what's going on. It's just similar to how we have two different views on SMC. Sometimes it's good to, you know, have two views also to how you're viewing the count. When you say an ABC, what if it's an WXY? You understand? What if it's a WXY pattern? Then what? Okay, what if you're seeing an ABC expecting a 1, 2, 3 to start, and then the ABC turns to ABCDE, right? A prolonged correction. Then what? So the room for then what is basically why we have alternating counts. It could be something else. Wyckoff says it could be an accumulation or a distribution. And at the same time, instead of being a distribution, it happens to be a reaccumulation. You understand? If you are familiar with Wyckoff, you understand what I'm trying to say. And these things are possible because on supply and demand, it's either a rally-based rally or a drop-based drop. Or it could either be a rally-based drop or a drop-based rally. You see? So all these are just like two perspectives. These are all technical approach to the market. And okay, let's look at it. Why do we have two approach to the market? That's simply because there are two different pairs. So they are going to be two-sided. Still the same way SMC explains this thing. So these are all technical concepts. That's why the aim of the academy in general is basically to give you guys an understanding that you are doing the same thing. You're just using different approach. Do you understand? I'm just giving you clearance to do. You're doing the same thing. It's just market structure, higher highs and lower highs. Your programs are models, and those models are meant to give you clearance, so you can confluence them to get more understanding. That doesn't, you don't have to stick to ICT because you learned ICT. You can still learn Wyckoff and just confluence them. They're like, the market does not respect ICT. It's only a program, and ICT are following rules. You just have to know how to identify the fair value gap, and then you could make money out of it. You understand? But there are more to these things too. You understand? Just outside trading, the understanding of it alone, you might be wondering, okay, how am I giving you this breakdown? How was I able to develop this understanding? Okay, so clearly you must have seen that my years in the field of doing these same things also have its own impact in my experience, not just as a trader but also as a human being, and it has improved my concept. You can see how basically everything is organized and my concept and everything. But you can't actually do this if you wanted to, casually the way I'm doing it. Why? Maybe simply because I've been in the field of using different technical methods and I've developed an understanding over the years that my brain is now in sync with it, and I'm evolving. That's an understanding you can get simply by understanding the principles of ICT and the principles of Wyckoff and putting it together instead of conflicting them and saying I identify with ICT, I'm an ICT trader. I identify with day trading, I'm a day trader. I identify with swing trading, I'm a swing trader. I identify with support and resistance. What are you even saying? These are technical methods, okay? So let's get back to... All right, so I've given you guys insights to when to look for this kind of counts, because when you're looking at it is when wave 3 is shorter. Let's say normally on the average rules we have wave 1, 3 and 5 as impulsive, right? And wave 3 is supposed to be the longest. So when you see a situation where wave 1 is the longest, is it invalidated? Is this a valid, what if every other thing lines up and just that is looking weird? Should everything now not make sense? No, that's possibly an alternate count. Like that's a possible alternating pattern to the actual rules we have on Elliott wave. Another way is also having on the correctional aspect, which we have wave 4. Wave 4 entering the trend of wave 1. That is also an alternating count. That's a possibility as well. Like I explained with you guys on the stop hunt idea. Maybe a stop hunt happens and it's possible, right? Now, another scenario would be, let's say market structure doesn't align with Elliott wave. Let's say there's a possibility of an ABC coming up based on Elliott wave, and market structure is clearly looking bullish. There's no correction, or maybe price is at a reversal point. Let's say support or a resistance level, and then you're seeing something like a valid correction coming up, or Elliott wave is saying is impulsive. All right, so maybe on those kind of situations, instead of getting confused, you can just say, okay, maybe let me pop up an alternating count, or let me, ask what if this is not an ABC? What if this is WXY? Let me try and see that pattern. Maybe that's what's going on. You understand? It doesn't always be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. It can also be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a W within an ABC. Like, it's that weird. I've already given you, if you're following up with Elliott, if you understand that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside with an ABC inside, and a 1, 2, 3, so there's pattern inside pattern inside pattern. So when all those stuffs are happening, you have to understand that possibilities of, even in algorithms, we have glitch. Possibilities of glitch happens, and that is where the ideology of alternating count came from. Like that's where we have this idea in the first place. So how do you practice this on your chart? That's what we're going to be studying on the next episode. That's when we're on the chart, because as I just explained for you, Elliott wave is a multi-dimensional strategy. That's when you're looking from different time frames. You have to understand that it's layers upon layers upon layers. So alternating can be at any time. there can be something making sense on the 4-hour time frame and it's something else on the weekly time frame. If you don't have the idea of what's going on the weekly, you might not even know what you're doing on the 4-hour time frame, and then maybe you lose money, or maybe you end up becoming wrong in your predictions. So that's basically because you have to go to the higher time frame too to observe it, or you're looking at something else. Do you understand? So an alternating perspective to the 4-hour time frame can be the weekly. Okay, so that's that. An example of a situation like this is what I explained to you guys. And also, let me give you another scenario. We have the zigzag pattern, right? Everybody knows the correction zigzag pattern. Or we have the triangle and the flat. The difference between the zigzag and the flat is just simply retracement levels. Fibonacci retracement level. A flat is just a few retracement away from becoming a zigzag. they are alternating themselves. They're like they're alternate versions of each other. You understand? It's just retracement levels on Fibonacci. And this is what I'm trying to explain to you. So you who is the practitioner, you who is the one trying to identify this on the chart, don't go around trying to just make sure everything makes sense with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC, or telling everybody who does not make sense to the way you understand it that they are wrong. That's not the idea of a research. You're all researchers. Everybody is just making analysis. Do you understand? So these principles are not fixed. You're just the one identifying with them and stressing everybody else. And that's how we have the alternating patterns on Elliott wave. And then on the next episode, which I would probably put out maybe next week or upper week, I would show you guys on the chart some of these examples, and then we'll look into further analysis using Elliott wave method. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.